everybody, welcome back to homerecordingmadeeasy.com and here on my YouTube channel. And this time out, we're going to do a follow-up video. It's about 2.5 years since the Universal Audio Spark subscription and platform has come out. I did a video back in April of 2022 when it first came out. I'll link that in the description box below if you want to check that out. Since that time, they've added a lot more plugins. Some of you still continue to ask me today about Universal Audio Spark and whether I think it's worth it and what are my favorite plugins and the subscription and all of that. So I figured, okay, it's about time. It's been over 2 years. Let's do a follow-up video. Before we get started and we walk through some of the points on the UAD or Universal Audio website, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Also, if this is your first time here, go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com because I want to give you a free mixing course. It is right on the homepage at the top right-hand corner. There's a big orange button. You can't miss it. It's my gift to you just for visiting Home Recording Made Easy. It's a $100 mixing course, absolutely free. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you something else for free. Okay, so here we are on the Universal Audio website, the UAD Spark, okay? So this is a subscription platform that started a couple of years ago. Most of you probably know about that. And now they have over 40 plugins on the Spark platform. Now, back in April in 2022, when this thing was first released and it first came out, one of my gripes was in that video is they only had, I think, 12 plugins at the time, and a lot of the more popular ones weren't available yet. 2 years later, they've went from about 12 to over 40, and they continue to add them. Every few months or so, another one comes out, which is cool. So what's really cool about this is they keep adding plugins. They have a huge catalog, Universal Audio. I don't know if they'll all eventually be native. My guess is they probably will be, but it's going to take time because they got a pretty large catalog. And if it's taken them 2 years to go from 12 to 40, it's probably going to take another 2 or 3 years to go from 40 to however many they have. But in any event, we'll take a look at some of the plugins in a second. So the one thing I will say about this is a 14-day free trial if you want to check that out. What I don't like about this, and we'll talk about the price in a second, I thought it was kind of funny as we scroll down through this, is they tell you about all the plugins, everything that runs natively. Yes, it does run on Windows at this time. It didn't run on Windows when it first came out. It is PC, Windows compatible on Windows 10 and newer, and also Mac, obviously. And we'll talk about all their plugins in a second. It tells you about all the plugins and the virtual instruments that are available. And you could go through and you could look at all the tape plugins that they have, the preamps and the channel strips. Again, they've added so many in the last couple of years, which is really nice to see. A lot of the EQs, a lot of the stuff that they didn't have in the first release that I was kind of complaining about, they've added all those now, which is pretty awesome. Compressors, you can go down and take a look. At this point, and I had said back in 2022, if you weren't part of the Universal Audio ecosystem at that point, meaning you didn't have an Apollo or a UAD2 satellite part of their hardware, which is the only way you used to be able to run Universal Audio plugins up until this native Spark program, I said at that time you should probably wait. There wasn't enough plugins in the bundle to warrant at that time the $15 a month, in my opinion. Now the pricing is $19 a month and they have 40 plugins, and I've kind of changed my mind on that. I think now there's enough plugins here that it's definitely worth it. And again, we'll take a look. But the one thing I find funny about their website, I hate when companies do this. Nowhere on this website, on this webpage, does it tell you how much it costs once you get beyond the trial. Even when you click up for the trial, they make you go through the entire sign-up process before they tell you how much it costs, which is kind of bull BS in my opinion. You should be putting that front and center. I hate when companies do that. However, we'll look at the FAQs. It'll tell you how much it's going to cost. So you can go check out this. I'll leave this in the description box. And by the way, it's not a sponsored video. Universal Audio doesn't know me. They don't pay me. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form. I'm just doing this video for you because you've asked me about it. And I love Universal Audio and their plugins. And I'm a Spark user and I love their stuff. But I've been a Universal Audio user way back in the UAD 1 platforms. I've been around for 20 years of Universal Audio, and I still think they make some of the best plugins on the market. I really do. So you can check this out. Let's go over to the FAQs here so people can ask, because they're going to ask some of these questions. How many UAD X plugins can I run in my project? And that really is dependent on your computer now. And it'll tell you here, since UAD X plugins run natively on your computer's CPU, you can run as many as your CPU can handle. So if you have a modern computer, in the last 2 or 3 years, Windows or Mac, you're going to be able to run as many plugins as you want, which is great because when you were running just on the DSP in the past, one bad thing about that was that you would run out of DSP, and you run too many plugins, you'd run out of the DSP in your hardware, and you'd have to expand that system, which got very expensive. Now that it's native, you don't need to worry about that. Here's another question that people are going to ask. I already own UAD 2 versions of some of the plugins available in Spark. Do I get access to the UADX versions? And the answer is, if you own or purchase the UAD plugin or UAD instrument that has been ported to the native platform, then it is possible to get the UAD version. So the answer is yes. If you already own their plugins from prior history where you had an Apollo or have an Apollo or the UAD 2 satellite, if you already bought their plugins, then if it's a native version at this time, you get that for free. You don't have to pay for a subscription. I don't pay for Universal Audio Spark subscription because I've already purchased all their plugins from the past. Okay. Now, if they put out a new plugin on the native platform here, in the Spark platform that I don't already own, you could go purchase that, but you don't have to have a monthly subscription. Okay, so that's kind of cool for us Universal Audio users that have been around since the beginning. They're not kind of double dipping and trying to hit us twice, which is great because a lot of companies would do that. So it's cool. But if you don't have any of their plugins or you're not part of the old DSP ecosystem, then you could pay your monthly subscription fee and you can get access to all the ones that they've ported natively. So it's great for both type of customers. Are UAD 2 versions included with Spark subscription? No, only the UADX plugins are part of the subscription. So they have let's say 40 plugins as part of the Spark subscription. That's all you get. You don't get all their 150, let's say, or hundreds of plugins that they have. I don't think they have hundreds, but they have well over 100. You don't get the entire catalog with the Spark subscription. You only get the native plugins that are part of the Spark subscription. Make sense? So there's only about less than half of the plugins that Universal Audio has available are available natively as of the recording of this video. If you pay for a subscription, then you're only going to get the ones that are available. You're not going to get all the other ones that were part of the hardware only. Hope that makes sense. How much does it cost? The monthly subscriptions are $19.99. So over the last couple of years, it went from $15 to $19. And if you get it annually, it's $150. So it looks like you're going to save a little bit of money if you buy an annual subscription. Again, it's gone up in price since 2022, but they've added way more plugins. It's worth $20 a month. For the 40 plugins that they're giving you, and we'll take a look at those in a second, it is absolutely worth $20 a month. Okay, I changed my tune. In April of 2022, as I said earlier, I told you to hold off. Don't get the Spark subscription. It wasn't worth it for the amount of plugins that they were giving you. Now I feel differently. I think it is. When will new titles be added to Spark? More content will be added over time. Basically, they're adding about 2 plugins a year, 2 to 3 plugins a year, if my memory serves me correctly. They're not releasing them every month. You're only getting a couple, 2, 3 a year. But the ones they're releasing are really cool. And now again, the bundle is big enough that even if you were not an old school Universal Audio user and you're just coming in new to the Spark subscription, I believe you have all the plugins you need to do mixing and you really don't need any other bundle. They've added all the required plugins and then some. We'll talk about that in a second. Here's a big one. Can I record with UAD Spark plugins in Luna, Universal Audio Luna, which is free, by the way, both for Windows now and Mac. Again, back in 2022, when I first did a review on Spark, we talked about Luna. Luna was not PC compatible yet. It is now, and that's fairly recent. I hear it's still a little buggy, but it is working, and every month it gets better and better, so they finally got it for Windows. So to answer this question, yes. However, with all native audio unit plugins in Luna, they are bypassed when the accelerated real-time monitoring is active. To monitor through UADX plugins, you'll need to disable the ARM mode, okay? And it asks now the last question here, do the UADX, the Spark plugins support real-time processing? No, they do not. Okay, so the only way you can record through the Universal Audio plugins is part of their console software, is part of their Unison technology of the Apollo interfaces. Okay, so there's a few different levels of the way you can use the Universal Audio plugins, whether it's the old DSP stuff with the Apollos and or whether it's with the Spark stuff. And again, it's all on their website. You can ask questions in the comments below and I can answer them if I haven't been clear enough. So there's the FAQs. Again, I will leave this in the description box so you can check it out, as well as I will put this link in the description box so you can check it out. Okay, so now let's just take a look here again in Studio One, and I'm going to show you 5 of my favorite UAD Spark plugins. But if you look at the browser here, you'll see, again, I didn't count up how many there are. They say there's over 40. Let me see here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. I see 34. Oh, plus they have probably some, they're probably including their virtual instruments. Let me go over to their instruments here. Let me see if it's here. Oh, their instruments are only part of when you use them in Luna, I believe. I believe that's correct. I got to double check that, but I believe that's correct. So I'm only counting 34 UAD Spark plugins. They're saying there's over 40, but the rest is probably part of their virtual instruments inside of Luna. Again, you can read their website, but they got 34 from what I can see here. Let me show you my 5 favorite ones. The most recent one that just got released here in the middle of the summer of 2024 is the ATR 102 mastering tape. I use this plugin all the time. I've owned this plugin for years. They refreshed the way it looks. It looks a little bit more clean. The other thing I'm loving about the UAD Spark plugins, the GUIs have all been updated, so they all look updated. Some of these plugins are really old, and when you were running them on the old UAD 2 platform, some of the graphics weren't nice and crisp. Some of the GUIs were kind of small. They've cleaned a lot of that up, which looks great. This is an amazing plugin. One of the best tape plugins on the market. Love this. That's one of my favorites. This just got released. Great plugin, use it on every mix. The other one I love, my favorite again, is their Fairchild. Again, probably out of all the Fairchild plugins that I've demoed over the years, this is the one that I like the best. And people say sound most like the real hardware. I don't have a real Fairchild, so I can't confirm that, but I just love the way it sounds. It sounds good on anything. So this is the 670, which is the stereo version, but you also get the 660 as part of the Spark program as well. Another one that was brand new release in the beginning, I believe, of 2024, or was the end of 2023, and this thing is killer. Sound City Studios. I have to do a demo on this. This thing is absolutely an amazing plugin. And when they put this out, it was pretty expensive, and the fact that it runs natively UAD Spark, I think is great. I bought it as soon as it came out. So again, when I purchased it, I can use it either on my UAD 2 platform, on my satellite, because I have one of those, or I can use it as native. And this thing is great native, an amazing plugin. Can't say enough about this thing. This thing is fantastic. Number 4 is, again, I love their Pultec. This is an oldie but a goodie. When they first released Spark in 2022, one of my comments was, I couldn't believe they didn't have the Pultec or the Fairchild as part of that initial release. Since that time, they've put it out. They must have watched my video. Anyhow, again, I've done many Pultec plugin reviews and shootouts between this and many other companies, and this always comes out on top. And I have 3 hardware Pultecs, and this sounds most like the hardware. And I talked about that in those videos. You can go watch those videos. And then the last one that I love by them, my favorite Spark, is the Distressor. Love this thing. I have 2 hardware distressors. They sound great. This thing sounds equally as good. So those are my favorite UAD Spark plugins. Again, it's the ATR, the Fairchild, the Sound Cities, the Pultec, and the Distressor. But they got some other great ones here as well. I guess maybe an honorable mention would be these plugins here, the 175B and the 176. which is the predecessor to the 1176. This is a tube-based hardware compressor done in a plugin. This thing sounds awesome. This is another fantastic plugin. Again, the hardware is super expensive and not really easy to find. This thing sounds great. Again, very similar to an 1176-ish, but this is the 175. And then we also have the 176B, which again is really great. So I think when you buy them as a bundle and you get both of these plugins. These things are really great. A couple other honorable mentions that I really like. The API Vision Channel Strip is fantastic. This is another really, really great plugin. Again, you can run all these natively. You can put one of these across every single channel in your mix, like working on a real API. When this was only the DSP version, the hardware version, you couldn't put one on every single channel. You'd run out of DSP. You'd have to have several of the UAD2 satellites daisy chained together. At one time I did it. One time I had 5 of them. I think I had 3 octos and 2 quad units, so I could run channel strips across my entire session. Again, we're going back 5, 8 years. Now you can run it all natively. As long as your CPU and your computer can handle it, you can do it. And they're CPU friendly, by the way, these things. They're pretty CPU friendly. That's another favorite one of mine. Here's another really great one. Where is it? I love the LA3A. I have an LA3A, a real run hardware. This thing sounds great. I use these on electric guitars all the time. Again, that's another really great one. The LA2As are fantastic as well. The Lexicon Digital Reverb is awesome as well. This thing is a great, great reverb. The 224 legendary hardware unit. They got all the manly, massive, passive stuff, which I'm not a big fan of personally, but it's great. Oh, and then lastly, I'll show you the 1073 preamp, the Neve. Probably one of the best plugin emulations of that on the market. So, as I said, let me see, any more that I really like? This is my last one. The last one here is the Studer multi-track tape machine. Again, this is a fantastic plugin. I use this all the time. Fantastic, fantastic plugin. So, do I feel the UAD Spark 2 years later since my first video is worth the price of admission? I absolutely do now. It is worth 20 bucks a month all day long. If you only had just this Spark package, honestly, that with your stock plugins in any DAW, you don't need any other plugins. You got everything here. You got a variety of compressors, multiple tape machines. I think there's 3 of them, a channel strip, several EQs. You got preamps, you got everything, you got delays. I'd like to see some more EQs maybe, and I would love to see their SSL channel strip in here as well. They also give you the Sensory channel strip, which is really cool, but you have this in the API, but it would be great to see the SSL and the Neve channel strip as part of the Spark, and I'm sure one day we will see that because they do have those plugins. So I'm excited to see what else Universal Audio puts out, because this is a great package. They're CPU friendly and they just sound great, and they do. So that's kind of my update for the UAD Spark platform. I think it's worth it. Again, you could go back and check my original video, but everything that I've said in that video, I've kind of changed my tune, and it has been 2.5 years later. So I do appreciate you guys asking me about it. If you have any questions about the Spark or Universal Audio ecosystem or their plugins in general, I'm a pretty power user of their plugins. I've been using them for, like I said, well over 10 years, probably close to 20 years at this point. So I know their plugins fairly well, and I have a lot of experience with them. Just leave comments below, and I'll be sure to try to help you out in any way I can. So as I said at the beginning of the video, thank you so much for joining me today. Go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. Get that free mixing course. It's right on the homepage. You cannot miss it. It's my gift to you just for visiting Home Recording Made Easy. And if you take that course and you want to then check out one of my other full-length training courses, I want to give you 25% discount. That discount coupon code is YouTube25. You use that at checkout, it'll take 25% off any training course on the website. And until the next video, where we take a look at some other cool gear and plugins, I've been Dave with HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com. Thank you so much for watching me, everybody. And I'll see you in the next video.